Welcome to my channel. Fear. It's a feeling we all know too well. But what if the fear you feel isn't just a temporary emotion? What if it's something that holds you back from achieving your true potential? This is the story of one individual who was consumed by fear but eventually found the strength to embrace it, face it head on, and use it to propel themselves forward in life. Meet Jake, a young man who, like many others, had always struggled with fear. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of being judged. These were the things that dictated his every move. Jake had big dreams, but those dreams were often overshadowed by his anxiety. Every step forward seemed like a leap into the unknown, and that feeling of fear kept him from taking action. Jake was like many people. He had everything, it seemed. A good job, a loving family, and friends who cared about him. Yet, despite all of this, he couldn't shake the feeling that something was missing. He had dreams, he had goals, but every time he thought about taking a step toward them, fear would take over. It wasn't just any fear. It was the kind of fear that crippled him, that kept him from living the life he knew he was meant to live. Jake's fear wasn't something he could ignore. It wasn't just a fleeting feeling that would go away with time. It was a constant companion whispering in his ear, telling him he wasn't good enough, telling him to stay safe and not take risks. And for many years, Jake listened. He lived a life of safety, of following the path of least resistance, and avoiding anything that would make him feel vulnerable. But deep down, Jake knew this wasn't the life he was meant to live. He had always dreamed of starting his own business, traveling the world, and helping others achieve their dreams. But every time the thought crossed his mind, fear would swoop in, reminding him of all the possible failures, all the ways things could go wrong. Jake became stuck in this cycle of fear and indecision. The weight of his own self-doubt was heavy, and it seemed like the only thing holding him back from his dreams was himself. Every opportunity felt like a challenge that he wasn't ready for. Fear had become a barrier, a wall that prevented him from seeing the possibilities ahead. It wasn't until one fateful evening that things began to change for Jake. He found himself sitting in a cafe, nursing a cup of coffee, and watching the world go by. His mind was racing as usual, filled with doubts and worries about the future. But that night, something shifted. He overheard a conversation at the table next to him, a conversation that would change his life forever. A group of people were discussing their journeys, their struggles with fear, and how they had all chosen to face it. One woman in particular shared a story that struck Jake to his core. She had been afraid for years, afraid of failure, afraid of what people would think, afraid of stepping outside her comfort zone. But instead of letting that fear control her, she decided to confront it. She started taking small steps toward her dreams, gradually building confidence and overcoming the fear that once held her back. Over time, she learned that fear wasn't something to be feared. It was a signal that she was on the right path, that she was growing, and that she was pushing herself towards something greater. That conversation was the spark Jake needed. He realized that fear was a natural part of life, but it didn't have to be his enemy. Fear wasn't something that needed to be avoided. It was something that could be used as fuel to drive him toward his goals. Jake knew that if he wanted to live the life he dreamed of, he had to start embracing his fear, not running from it. The next day, Jake woke up with a new sense of determination. He knew he couldn't let fear dictate his life any longer. But facing his fears wasn't easy. It was uncomfortable, it was scary, and it was hard to take that first step. But Jake was ready. He decided to start small. He enrolled in an online course to learn about business, something he had always wanted to do but had been too afraid to try. The first day was difficult. His mind was full of doubts, and he questioned whether he was capable of succeeding. But as the days went by, Jake began to feel a shift. He found himself looking forward to the challenges, eager to learn and grow. With each new lesson, he gained confidence. And with that confidence came a sense of empowerment, a belief that he could do this, that he was capable of more than he had ever imagined. Jake soon realized that the more he embraced his fear, the more he grew. The fear didn't go away, but it no longer controlled him. Instead, he learned to use it as a tool to push himself further, to take risks, and to step outside his comfort zone. Each small step forward was a victory, and Jake began to see his life transforming in ways he never thought possible. As Jake continued on his journey, he learned something powerful. The key to overcoming fear isn't about eliminating it, it's about embracing it. Fear is a natural part of growth, and when we face it, we unlock our true potential. Jake found strength in his vulnerability, in stepping into the unknown, and in trusting himself despite the fear. Jake began to take bigger risks. He started his own business, something he had always dreamed of but never believed he could achieve. The road wasn't easy, and there were times when fear tried to creep back in, but Jake now understood that fear wasn't a sign to stop, it was a sign to keep going. He began to travel the world, pursuing his passions, and meeting like-minded people who supported his journey. His business grew, and so did his confidence. But the greatest transformation wasn't in his career or his accomplishments, it was in how he saw himself. Jake had learned to trust his inner strength, and in doing so, he had unlocked a new level of self-belief. Looking back, Jake realized that overcoming his fear was the key to unlocking everything he had ever wanted. Fear was no longer a barrier. It was a tool that guided him toward growth, success, and fulfillment. He learned that fear was not something to be feared, but something to be embraced. Jake's story is a testament to the power of embracing your inner strength. Fear will always be a part of life, but how we choose to respond to it is what truly shapes our future. By accepting fear, learning from it, and using it to fuel our growth, we unlock the true power within ourselves. Jake's journey is a reminder that the path to success is not without its challenges. But with each challenge comes the opportunity for growth. The key to overcoming fear is to embrace it. When we do, we unlock the strength within ourselves to achieve things we never thought possible. Fear doesn't have to hold you back. It can be the driving force that propels you toward the life you've always dreamed of. So, the next time you feel afraid, remember Jake's story. Use that fear as fuel and take that first step toward a future filled with possibility.